Okay, this is going to be my 1cc commentary for Blue Revolver on normal, using May with Hyper Laser. I just got this 1cc last night after about 12 and a half hours from when I first played the game, so really not that long, but it felt long, and I guess I can just go over my mindset and my methods for this run. It's probably nothing too special for veteran shmuppers out there, but I'm pretty new to shmups, so this was actually kind of a big deal for me to get this 1cc. I have other 1cc's, but this one was the one I had to work the hardest for so far. So I just wanted to commentate over what's going on in this one. So let's start up the replay here. So when I was doing this run and practicing for it, I got stuck into a trap of restarting at stage 1 over and over again because I figured out a really consistent routing for scoring, but I would keep messing it up due to nerves, especially after one point where I was mere seconds away from getting the 1cc, and then subsequent attempts just had me tense up really hard. But other than that, the way scoring works in this game, for those of you that are not familiar, is that you have to use your normal fire to build up to an 8-hit combo, and then once you get to that 8-hit combo, you cash in all of that score with your special weapon, which takes ammo to do, and then it drops the enemies that you hit with your special weapon drop special medals that up your score a lot. Another thing is breakpoints, which certain bosses have breakable parts where if you break them in a certain order or within a certain time frame, you get bonuses. That first one right there actually was the source of a lot of my restarts, because despite the fact that its pattern is really not that difficult, I found myself tensing up a lot and ended up messing up that break, and it's a really important break. Luckily, it's early on in the run, so you don't really lose a lot of time for missing it. Really, in normal mode, a lot of the long-term best point scoring, in my opinion, is to set yourself up for later in the run. Happens in the first couple of stages, so that's why I kept restarting over and over again until I got a good first and second stage. But at this point, I had it pretty well down, and then this is the run where I just locked it in. There is a break on this boss phase right here, but I have a really hard time getting it consistently while staying safe, so I just tend to ignore it and then just fight the boss normally. Obviously don't want to get hit on the first stage. You want to try to no-miss the whole thing. This break is very easy. It's even easier than the mid-boss break. You just break the two wings. They don't even have to be close together to properly break them. So that's a very easy break with a quite easy pattern. With those two breaks, I can pretty consistently get the one extend before the end of the stage. So, into stage 2. This stage is also pretty easy, but at this point, I would have still been, glad with restarting, but if something went wrong. But I was really trying to rip myself out of the mindset of constantly restarting all the time, and I was like, if I get a good second phase, or a second stage, and stuff starts to go bad in stage 3, I'm just gonna play the run out and see how it goes. But yeah, I don't actually know if cashing out your chain on those blue ships is the best way to chain this stage, but I just did it that way because it seemed the most logical with the intervals that they tend to show up at. there aren't a ton of like big ships with a lot of point scoring potential here, except this one. This ship right here, you just kill all of the turrets and then you target the core with your special, and you can pretty easily get an 8-hit times 64 multiplier on that with a break. So there's a break here as well. You just let the ship pass into a later portion of the stage, but I wasn't about to mess with that. I just killed it as quickly as possible to try and get the extend sooner, just so I wouldn't have to deal with its patterns for this upcoming portion. I was playing for safety there more than anything at this point. These 5 groups of ships are a little bit more lucrative, but still not crazy. Here, my chain dropped in a way that I wasn't very enthused with, but I still ended up taking at least the times 32 because I got a 7-hit, but it is what it is. I'm not sure how I could have kept that chain going, but it might be something to work on improving. Alright, so this is the first boss where I'm like actually thinking I want to start using bombs. Up to this point, I want to try to get here without using any bombs, so that I just have, you know, plenty in the tank. But it also means I just want to, like, no-miss the game up to this point, because in normal mode, there's an auto-bomb feature to try to keep you safe, but auto-bombing is really punishing in normal mode, because you lose all of your bombs when you do it. So, at this point, I'm wanting to simultaneously not bomb and not get hit. I have a few close calls here, but I'll weave through it. Then after this phase, this is when I'm wanting to dump my bombs, especially because my ammo is getting low. So I'm gonna let him fire out a bunch of shots that, you know, drop additional ammo when I bomb them, and then I can just quick kill the final phase. So that boss is still fairly easy, but you know, things can go wrong if you're not careful. Alright, so this stage doesn't have a ton of ammo because there are no grounded enemies. Only grounded enemies drop ammo unless you use bombs on their shots, of course. So I actually lose a lot of like flourish potential here. So like a lot of cash-ins on my combos, but I get some of it. Really, all things considered, this stage is really not too bad. It's really the boss. I would say the boss of this stage is where the game actually starts getting hard. More than likely, I probably could have included those two in the chain if I had, like, staggered my kills against the prior ships a little better. At this point, I really would have wanted to cash out my chain on that big ship, but I unfortunately ran out of special ammo there. Pattern got a little bit dicey there, but I managed to hang on. So here's the battleship portion. Really not much to say, just killing the parts in a certain order to try and get my hit chain up to 8 times so that I can start cashing it out on chains on the other parts, which actually does drop quite a few medals, so these little ones right here, you can get quite a bit. Had to bomb there just because I needed more ammo. Unfortunately, I just let the medals for the core on the left just fall to the wayside. Not sure why I let that happen. Didn't let it happen with that one, though. So I'm out of ammo at this point, and I would prefer to not use a bomb here anyway, so at this point I'm just concerned with getting the break on this battleship, which really just involves, you know, destroying all the parts in it before you destroy the bridge at the top there. the bridge, when you destroy it, is the source of a single one-up pickup in the game. If you're doing it correctly, you can get an extend and the one-up, which puts you on 2 extends. I forget that I don't have any ammo here, so I can't flourish this thing, unfortunately. And then I make the big mistake of getting hit right before here, so I lose 2 bombs on that, unfortunately. So that was the first, like, big mistake of the run, I think, aside from any, like, other, you know, scoring errors I may have made. But this part, there is a break associated with this section. You need to kill 80% of the enemies that come through this portion of the level. So that's really what I'm concerned with, so I can get that big break bonus. Out of ammo, and I can't replenish it because I'm out of bombs. So I could use one of my extends here to replenish my ammo. That's entirely possible. But the only problem is it risks potentially losing that 80%. Like right here, it would have been nice to have some ammo to just get that flourish right there. So I definitely missed out on points on this section, but I made up for it at least a little bit by getting the break here. So this boss really had me for quite a while. I can actually no-miss this boss, but it's not very... I'm not very consistent at it. This first pattern, for whatever reason, it just catches me out so bad. I managed to get through it without getting hit there. I had to develop a strategy to consistently deal with this boss. It's basically saving at least 1 bomb for one particular portion of the boss. There is a point later on where I'm fine using an extend to refill my resources, but I'd rather not lose my bomb and a life right now. Here's where I just bomb, and then I just dump laser to try and bypass the phase. I can get through that pattern, but it's the hardest pattern of the boss in my opinion, and I didn't want to deal with it, so I just bombed through it. At this point, I'm starting to think I'm pretty okay with spending an extend to try and refill my resources, but I'm gonna haul out as long as I can to see how much I can get off the boss without using an extend. So this one is where I'm like, it's okay if I get hit, but if I had an extra bomb, I would have saved it for this point, and there I get hit. At this point, I'm thinking I'd rather use a bomb if I don't have an escape route when the boss does its dive attack into me. But that ended up being kind of moot, and I was going to just use an extend to refill my resources anyway. 4 out of 6 breaks, not terrible. But alright, so stage 4 is pretty tough. This is where bullet patterns start to get a bit trickier. These robots that come down in 3s after waves of enemies, they're actually worth quite a bit of cash-in points. They drop a lot of medals, so really the strategy here is really to cash out on them specifically. And sometimes I want to cash out on like larger enemies like this. They have a pretty good bonus as well. There I unfortunately get hit and lose all my resources, and then I also don't flourish against that group of robots, which is a bit of a bummer, and lose out a bit of points there. So I just have to make do with fewer bombs at this point, unfortunately. Managed to weave through that. Really, it wasn't the worst case, and then I get tagged there. Just didn't see the bullet that was coming through. I can't remember. I think I'm pretty sure I do auto bomb at, again, maybe a couple times in stage 5, but at this point I'm trying to be as cognizant as possible to use my bombs rather than just let them sit there. That was a kind of a bad habit that I developed over the course of trying to get this 1cc. That was a pretty bad job killing those bullet streaming enemies, but I managed to make it through anyway. This mini boss is really not too bad. Its pattern is relatively straightforward. You can go into that mini boss with a ×8 chain, but I don't know how you would actually cash it out against it, so get a ×32 here because I just didn't have enough enemies to get the full chain, but I dropped medals anyway like an idiot, so that was subpar. Got the ×8 chain here. I just bombed there just to refill my ammo, and I settle for cashing out on these guys. They're not too bad as far as the bonus goes. Really, these turrets that fire these clusters of bullets look scary at first, but then you kind of realize that they're just firing 3 big bullets, and it starts to make their patterns a lot less scary. So that was a big mistake right there. I definitely started unloading my special too early there. I should have waited a little bit, but I forgot that those robots show up at that point. So I definitely missed out on some points there. Really, like, I did a decent job, like, recouping some of my resources at this point, but I definitely could have scored better on this stage. Alright, now this is easily my least favorite part of the entire game. This boss has patterns that I really still don't know how to get through yet. I know how to get 2 breaks, like, see, right there. This pattern trips me up so badly. There's something about the way that the bullets move against each other. So I get a bit of a break here. Like, this isn't a free pattern, but I can at least navigate this pattern better than the last one. So I can just focus on micro-dodging, and it's fine. Now, this is just a worse version of the first phase pattern, so I immediately lose a life there, but, I mean, it's okay. I can just recoup my resources. But unfortunately, it's hard to quick kill this portion because the boss moves its big meaty claws in front of its weak spot, and you can't damage it. This one's pretty dicey, but it's not terrible. I just kill the turrets on the side, and then it just turns it into basic micro-dodging at this point. So really, like, the last 2 phases of this boss are much easier than the first and third phase, in my opinion. And then this one, to get the break on it, you just dodge all the bullets and don't shoot. You just let the boss time out at this point. And once again, this is just, on normal mode, this is fairly easy micro-dodging, although I actually get pretty close to getting hit a number of times here. So, like, right there, a bullet was literally overlapping my hitbox, so I got very lucky. However, at this point, I'm out of weapons and out of bombs, so really it wouldn't have been too big of a deal if I lost a life there, especially because I was going to get an extend from it. So right here, I just intentionally, you know, lose an extend to get my resources back, mainly so I can flourish this large enemy right here and get a decent bonus. Unfortunately, I only get ×32. I'm not sure where I dropped the combo, but it is what it is. Unfortunately, I immediately lose all my bombs there, so another error on my part, but at this point in the game, I've got a nice buffer of extends. I did isolate practice a little bit on stage 5 specifically, but at this point in the run, I was starting to realize, like, this is probably my favorite stage in the game. The patterns here and just how frantic everything feels is just super fun to navigate. This boss, I get hit once, and then I'm like, alright, I'm bombing to refill my special ammo, so I can just quick kill him and then basically get free laser for a bit. Unfortunately, the bullets blocked me out from collecting all that there. The robots on this stage, their patterns get quite a bit more difficult to navigate, so you'll see me bomb a lot against them, unfortunately. You can kind of try to, like, herd the bullets, or stream those bullets on those guys there, but I just didn't for whatever reason, and it got me killed, but it wasn't a big deal because I was out of bombs anyway, so... That's a real good way to catch people unfamiliar out for moving forward to destroy that box. Alright, so this mini-boss, it took me a couple runs to realize what I was actually supposed to do here, because, you know, during this pattern, you're obviously hyper-focused on your own hitbox, because you need to micro-dodge all these bullets, but the first couple times I did this stage, I'm like, why is it taking so long to kill this guy? And then I learned that, oh, the way you kill this guy is you need to destroy all the turrets on top of them. And then once I realized that, I had to kind of use peripheral vision to see up top. Bit of a tricky sequence there. I settle for a ×4, for a four-hit combo cash out there. See, I just made bad movement against those guys. I should have at least tried to stream those bullets, but... Lose another one there? Really, I couldn't tell you why. But, I mean, I was out of bombs, so I just get them back. Really trying to stream bullets here. I was astonished I survived there. Just bomb to keep it going. At this point, I'm feeling decently confident. 3 extends at this point. Not a terrible buffer to have. I got very close to getting hit by the hexagon there. But by this point in the run, I was pretty locked in. Yeah, I lose an extend there. This next few sequences of enemies starts to get kind of tricky. I probably could have streamed those bullets, maybe escape to the left side, which is exactly what I do there. That auto bomb wasn't really that big of a deal because I only had one left, but it did mean that I got a bit less of I got a bit less ammo from it, which is a bit unfortunate, but you know, I wasn't too broken up about it at that point. I'm just a few enemy waves away from the boss at this point. Really just trying to hold on to these 3 extends into the boss. But unfortunately, I lose one here, which I kind of wanted to keep 3 extends into the boss, even without a bomb, just because I wanted more margin for error. So now I'm like, okay, I'm in a decent spot going into this final boss. I haven't practiced it a ton, but I have a bit of a strategy. So we'll just see how far I can get on 2 extends at this point. I wasn't sure if I'd actually be able to beat the boss, but just do our best and see where I get. Unfortunately, shortly into this first phase right here, I get hit there, and then I lose 3 bombs, which is a huge bummer. At least I have full resource, or full special meter, which is something, but losing 3 bombs like that is a massive bummer, so I really have to clutch up and do my best at dodging, which I clearly fail, like halfway in, or pretty close to the end of the phase at least. So this phase right here, I actually find to be kind of a breather phase. The break on it is very easy. You just have to break the 4 turrets that are on either side of the boss, and then just finish out the phase, and then when you do that, you get the break. Killing all the turrets, it does introduce more bullets into the pattern, but the channels are so wide that there's easily ways through it, and getting the break, you get a nice lucrative bonus. So I started to gain back a little bit of confidence at that point, especially because I'm sitting on bombs, and I'm actively thinking, okay, I need to actually use them manually at this point. I really don't want to let them go to waste. Just micro-dodging through here. And here's where I've really got a finger on the bomb button, and I'm ready to dump one if necessary. Especially because these suns block shots. It's very tricky, but drop a bomb there, drop another bomb there so I don't have to move out of the way. And then at this point I realize that I'm on the last phase of the boss. I've got 2 extends left. It's free at this point. I've got the 1cc. I just need, even if I get hit at this point, I'll have 2 extra bombs to fall back on to just dump special into, but even without all that, I just play it normally, micro-dodge through, and clear the game right there. So, I managed to do it with 2 extends remaining, so I'm pretty pleased with that clear. It ends out at 83 million, almost 84 million for score. But yeah, that's my 1cc of normal mode, Blue Revolver double action. I think this is a pretty good game. I definitely got frustrated with it at many points, but it felt really good to get this 1 credit cleared. So I might try to continue improving this run. Maybe try to get better score. I don't know if I'm gonna move on to Hyper just yet. I kind of want to try some other games as well to just, you know, grab more 1cc's. But yeah, that's it. That's my 1cc of Blue Revolver double action. So see ya.